Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Resurgence meta here in Warzone 2 Season 2 Reloaded is a bit different compared to what it was before the update earlier on last week. So today we are taking a look at the new top 5 best loadouts to be running here specifically for Resurgence gameplay, where obviously things are a little bit more hectic, a little bit more chaotic, if you will, with how gameplay plays versus, Al Mazrah, right? So this first setup here, probably my new favorite overall loadout in the game. It's a combination of the ISO Hemlock and the MP7. ISO Hemlock being the best rifle in the game, MP7 arguably being one of the top tier SMGs in the game as well. Real quick, just to go over it before we go into any of the other setups, this is the same on all the loadouts here today. I run Smokes and Semtex as my tactical and lethal. You could also run the knives though if you want the insta finishes. That's a good choice as well. And then for my perks, I end up running, if I go ahead and hide the face cam here, a quick fix for my ultimate perk, although if you like high alert more, both of those are really good choices. Like, there's no wrong answer there. I also go for resupply so I can continuously restock the nades there, and then double time and overkill for the perk 1 combination there. Obviously having those two primaries is clutch, and having that longer duration on the tac sprint is also super ideal for playing aggressive and rotating and everything there. So like I said, that's all the same on every single loadout. That way we don't have to focus on that for every single class. Getting into the setup here, the ISO Hemlock, I mean, this is about as good as it gets for mid to long range. Really good TTK, especially with this setup. Also so easy to use. Like, we're attacking recoil here with the Sack and Shred 40 and the Edge 47, so it's going to shoot straight, it's going to shoot like a laser beam, and also fry at the same time, right? So on the optic here, I like the AMOT V4. If you like a blue dot or a 3.4 times or whatever other optic more, feel free to use that. You're always tuning for the furthest eye position and faster ADS though. 45 round extended mag for those disadvantaged fights, just your basic extended mag option. I go for high velocity ammo, making it more consistent in the mid to long range, better velocity and damage range on the tunes there. Edge 47, as mentioned, for the better stability over range. We're tuning for better stability and stabilization, and the Sack and Shred 40 for all of the recoil control that offers, and we're tuning to maximize that even more. So clear #1 choice for the rifles right now. Thing's an absolute beast. And then the MP7 has got you covered for the close range. This will allow you to fly and fry as well. Great movement, really fast TTK up close as well. I'm loving the feel of the MP7 right now. So first up here, I do have the Schlager Soldier rear grip, better ADS and sprint to fire, tuning to maximize that. We've got the Demo RXT stock, better movement here, also tuning to maximize that with a little bit of stability thrown in there as well, just for some consistency. 7 milliwatt laser, faster ADS and sprint to fire. You love to have the mobility stats getting boosted there. I go for the drop grip. There's a lot of good underbarrels though, so if there's one that you prefer more for specific stats, feel free to do so. This one's pretty minimal cons with some solid pros, especially with the tuning added on there. And then lastly, I go for the Lockshot KT85. This is just basic control, so it'll be consistent in the mid range if I find myself in that situation, so I tune to help that out a little bit there. Overall though, these two paired together is one heck of a setup. I'm loving it. Loadout #2 is another wildly consistent one. We've got the TAC 56 or the SCAR, and then the P90, probably my second favorite SMG at the moment, just behind the MP7. This also has ridiculous movement stats and a really fast TTK. And then just like the Hemlock, the SCAR is decent TTK over range, not as fast as the Hemlock, but pretty close. And then also super easy to use, very low recoil, very straightforward. Plus you get to use the Iron Sight build here, which for Resurgence specifically is so good because the gunfights aren't nearly as far as on Mazrah, of course. So in this mode, in this map, you can just fry at any range with these because you're going to have that clear visibility. So first up here, I go for the combat rear grip, just better control, pretty basic there. We're tuning to maximize that, making it easy to shoot. 40 round extended mag works well. You could also go for 60. It'll slow you down a little bit more, but it's never a bad choice. So if you're comfortable with that slower movement, feel free to go with that instead. High velocity yet again, same deal as before, better velocity and range on the tunes there. And then I go for the Edge 47 once more as well, just for the pure stabilization. This is a great option for that. Better stability and stabilization on the tunes for that. And then the Echoless Eddy Suppressor, here's a great choice whenever this is available. By the way, if you don't want to have a compensator, this is always the best go-to suppressor essentially. So better velocity and ADS speeds on the tune for this one. Not much else we got to say about the SCAR right now. It's been this consistent for quite some time. Like, it's a fantastic choice. Then the P90 really has risen in rank recently with some of the nerfs to the other SMGs, and this one becoming one of the faster and one of the more reliable SMGs through the close and mid range. I mean, it's just ridiculously good. So first up here, just like on the MP7, I got the KT85 just to minimize that recoil. It's going to be very easy to shoot. better stabilization and gun kick control in the tunes there. I love that 50 round default mag. We don't have to spend any attachments on that. I go for the 7 milliwatt laser yet again for the better ADS and sprint to fire. I'm not a big fan of the iron sights, even though they did fix them with the Reloaded update. Still not really my thing. I also don't like the rail optics either, so I do waste an attachment on a blue dot here for this eye position faster ADS. If you're okay with the irons or you're okay with the rail, feel free to use those and go for a movement stock or, you know, overpressured rounds, something like that. There's some ways you can mess around at the setup if you don't mind the optic there. I also got the TV Tacom comb behind the face cam here. This is for better ADS and sprint to fire tuning to maximize that. And then I also got the Q900 grip, which is basically just more of the same. So the movement on this thing, the TTK on this thing, very few things are going to match that up close. Quick reminder as we move on into loadout number 3. If you guys are new to the channel, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So if you want to guarantee you're always up to date, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And if you guys enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be seriously appreciated. Now, loadout number 3, another very consistent one, very easy to use all around. We got the M4 and we've got the MP5, or the Lockman sub as it's also known. So M4 going to be pretty similar to the ISO and to the SCAR throughout the mid-range and whatnot. It's especially good in the mid-range. The fire rate's a little bit faster on this, so it can get some very quick kills here. The recoil is also relatively low, so great choice for a primary here. Setup's going to be pretty basic. AMOP V4 optic, same tunes on our optic. As always, there's no surprises here anymore. 45 round mag, but again, if you wanted to go up to 60, feel free to do so. It's just going to be a little bit heavier. 5.56 high velo yet again, pretty standard, better velocity damage range on the tunes there. Edge 47 yet again as well for the better stability and stabilization. And once more, I do go for the Echoless 80 here. If you wanted to use a compensator, feel free to do so as well. You know, Zac and Tread 40 or whatever the equivalent might be, never a bad choice. Can never go wrong with that. We're tuning for the slightly better ADS and velocity on this though. I mean, it's an M4. It's always going to be that top tier, maybe not absolute #1 gun, but just good enough to get the job done in pretty much every COD, right? Like that's pretty standard. Then the MP5, yeah, it saw a couple of nerfs with Season 2 Reloaded. It's still a top tier SMG though. It's just a little bit slower than it was last season, but it's also easier to use than it was last season, right? So that's what I really like about this. It's very straightforward, good for mid-range, and still pretty snappy for movement as well. I got the TCG10 rear grip here. This is for better control. The other one, the Cronus grip, I think, doesn't help with movement, so this is kind of the lesser of all evils, if you will. And you can tune the inverse for the better mobility there. 40 round mag, once more, if you want to go for 50, it's always an option too. 7 milliwatt laser, same deal as on the other subs, better ADS and sprint to fire. I go for the Falcon barrel in this case. This is for better movement speed, so it's really going to help with that nerf and make this feel very aggressive, similar to the MP7 and P90. I do tune for a little bit better recoil here just for some consistency and a better ADS speed. And then lastly, lock grip precision. This thing's great for hip fire, it's great for ADSing, and you can tune for the slightly better hip walking speed and ADS, so just a very consistent underbarrel here. It's the MP5. You really can't go wrong with this. It's been a top tier choice for some time and remains the same here in Season 2 Reloaded. And then my final two setups here for this video are kind of peculiar in the sense that they are both sharing rifle ammo. So you definitely want to make sure you've got a munitions box or you're storing some extra rifle ammo in your inventory, because we're matching LMGs for power with rifles that are super aggressive. So in this case, I've got the RAL and I've got the 74U. Mid to long range, yes, the RAL caught a nerf, but it's still ridiculously strong. And then close range, the 74U outguns pretty much all the SMGs. It's just slightly slower than them, so that's a bit of a trade-off there. The RAL setup, we're just focused on control. This is what caught the largest nerf, it feels like, with Season 2 Reloaded. They really changed the recoil pattern, so just going straight up for control is going to be fine. You don't always have to focus on super long range in this case, because Al Mazrah is obviously much longer range. There you'd have to focus on that. Ashika Island, a little bit closer range in general, so you don't have to go crazy on the velocity or anything for this map and for this mode in specific for Resurgence. AMOP V4, same tunes as always there. Stip 40 rear grip, going to be better for control, or basically just tuning to enhance that. Dune underbarrel, also meant for main steadiness and main control there, tuning to optimize that as well. Tread CP90 primarily attacks vertical control, which there's a lot of now, so that's going to be a very clutch attachment. Better gun kick control and stabilization on those tunes. Then lastly, Rhino barrel helps with control and gives you a little bit extra velocity. Not as much as what high velo would do, but the added control, especially after the nerf, I feel like is definitely worth it in this case. So this will still hit like a truck. You just got to make sure you are landing your shots after the update. And then 74U didn't see any changes with Season 2 Reloaded, so this thing is still lethal up close. You're flying, you're fine with this thing. Fantastic TTK that, like I said, outguns pretty much all the subs and has a slightly better range than them too. I got the 45 round extended mag here, basic extended mag. Demo X2 Grip is going to be my main consistency attachment here for better control for the mid-range if I find myself in those situations. Better ADS and Sprint to Fire on those tunes, though. You're kind of getting everything you want out of an attachment with this, control and mobility, right? R7 stock on here as well. This is primarily based around mobility. I'm tuning to enhance that even more. Olay laser, basically the equivalent of the 7 milliwatt, so it's doing the same thing here for ADS and Sprint to Fire. We tune to enhance that. Then lastly, the 209 barrel is all mobility based as well. So this will help match this more with some of the sub aggressiveness that we have with those weapons, because obviously this being a rifle, it is naturally going to be a little bit slower. So I tune for a little bit of recoil, setting this again for consistency purposes and a better ADS speed on there. This thing, very easy to use, especially in the close range, great secondary choice. And then the final setup is kind of a mimic of that, just with two different guns. We've got this Sakin for mid to long range, and then we also have the Chimera for close to mid range. I prefer the Chimera over the 74U, but it's like neck and neck in terms of where they are statistically, so you can't go wrong with either of them, and both of these LMGs are great for mid to long range as well. So on the Honey Badger, slight change up after the Season 2 Reloaded update. First up, I do have the Bruin Flash rear grip, better ADS and Sprint to Fire in this case. A little bit of recoil, setting this for some consistency in the mid-range on the tunes there, but overall, we're being nice and aggressive with that. 45 round mags, nice and consistent as well. I do use the Tango underbarrel on this though for Resurgence. This is going to be a little bit more aggressive than something like the Edge, and frankly, it's easy to use as is, so that's not always necessary, right? I do tune for the better ADS, then slightly better hip control because that also applies to general recoil control as well. Zakin Tread 40 is an option here. I like this for the mid-range. If you wanted to use something that's maybe a little bit snappier for a muzzle, you could feel free to test around with that and see what works well for you. But for versatility purposes, this really helps out some. And then lastly, Vorpal Barrel is the best of all worlds because you get damage, range, and mobility. So I tune to enhance the range, and then the recoil. You want to do the inverse, you could do so and get all mobility out of that too. Totally up to you on how you want the weapon to feel. But Chimera still feels fantastic for close range. Then the Sakin did see some slight nerfs with Season 2 Reloaded in terms of recoil and range, but it's still a very, very reliable LMG. TTK won't be as good as the RAL, but its recoil is way better. So realistically, you're probably going to land more shots with this over range, right? Setup not really changing all that much though. AMOV V4, same tunes as always, right? We got the G305 rear grip for control purposes. This will be especially useful after the slight nerf to the recoil. Edge 47, more of the stabilization that we've gotten on all of our main primaries here. Better stabilization and stability on those tunes. Zakin Tread 40, if you want to use a suppressor that's the equivalent to the Echoless 80, it's always a good choice. You can never go wrong between a compensator or a suppressor. They're all going to be helping out in some way, right? Then lastly, I do like the Silver Series barrel here a lot. Better range, velocity, and control. That's three huge elements of a long-range weapon that you want to have, and this does all that. So better steadiness and range on those tunes to really optimize things there. Overall, though, I mean, you got a lot of options here for the Resurgence meta. These are just 5 of the best setups. There are plenty of other weapons that we could give honorable mentions to as well. But that being said, that is going to wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with absolutely everything going on in the world of COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I will catch you guys later. Peace out.